Yo, I'm Porky and I bought my Ironmaster adjustable dumbbell set on Black Friday. It took a few weeks for it to come out to me, but I finally got them December 20th. But are they good enough to replace my Nuobells? Let's dive right into the review, starting with packaging. We're gonna go through each of these one by one, and on screen right now there's the weight for each package. Starting with the handles, the package itself looks pretty good. No visible damage, except maybe this little gash on the top here. It's not even deep enough to get the second cardboard, so all good. Box within a box. So that gash definitely did not make it to the handles. Very well packaged. Each handle is wrapped in plastic and they were separated by some cardboard. Knurling on the pins are exquisite. Knurling on the handle is pretty good too, but I would say that the pins are actually a little bit more aggressive. However, I would not call this passive. And the second handle here. I can definitely foresee me having a ton of boxes after this, and it comes with instructions which are kind of self-explanatory for these, but I'll read it anyway. I did buy the 120-pound set, so these are the longer pins to make it go up to that 120 pounds. No real damage on this except for a small gash on the bottom, but I imagine that this is also kind of a Russian doll, and so there should be a little box inside this one, and there is. All right. Longer pins, very immaculately wrapped. Wow. And separated by this Z cardboard. And we got 2 pins for one handle. While taped together, they are wrapped individually, so they wouldn't scratch each other up. So I'm not much of a stickler for damage. I'm not gonna return them if there's a couple scratches on them. And I don't really care about this, but you can see there is like some sort of gash around here, and the other one is smaller, but right here there's no damage. This other one had something similar, but it's just not as bad as that one. I guess they all have that. But besides that, these are pretty nice looking. Knurling is nice. Here's a shorter pin by comparison. Moving on to the 5-pounders and the 2.5 pounds. There's 4 of these boxes that come with a 75-pound kit, each of them containing 6 5-pound plates. Let's check it out. There is a damage on this one. Each plate is wrapped in plastic and then separated by a little cardboard paper. 2.5 pounds, there's no visible damage. And we're gonna go through. Each box only comes with 1 2.5-pound plate, and then those 6 5-pound plates. And the coating on these is very nice. There's no damage, immaculate. And we'll be doing 3 more of those. They're all exactly the same. Last one, this is also a little bit damaged. It looks like it was crushed by a corner of a bigger box. Maybe one of those. But with that 3/4 inch styrofoam in there, I have no fear of damage. We got 2 of these boxes for the 120-pound set, and these are 2 each 22.5-pound plates. These are probably the heaviest boxes at 20.4 kilograms, which is about 45 pounds. And that is the case with these Wombo boys. Look at it, 22.5. For being the heaviest ones, neither one of these has any damage. Oh, and they did separate these with what may have started as a 3/4 inch styrofoam in between. Last box, this is the heavy handle kit. Comes with 4 7.5-pound plates. Comes with instructions and an Allen wrench. Instructions because these go on the actual handle rather than on the outside with the pins going through it. It is a permanent fixture on the, semi-permanent fixture on the actual handle. Come in 2 halves. They are connected with the Allen wrench hardware. So I guess I would take them off, put it on the handle, put them back on. GTG. That means good to go. None damage. Excited, man. All right, I'm gonna clean this up And then we'll move on to specifications, specs. Starting with the dimensions, the square portion of the Ironmasters are a little more than 6.5. It looks like 6 9/16 if you want to go that in depth. And it's a square, so it'll be about 6.5 both ways. Looking at the handle by itself, no weight added, it is about 7 1/4 inches. The handle itself is about 6 3/4 from wall to wall. With the heavy handle kit, it looks like 4 7/8. And this is what it looks like with my hands in it. My hand span from outer knuckle to outer knuckle would be about 3.5 inches, which apparently is kind of small. So I am pretty comfortable in the smaller handle here. I have about 1.5 inches, whereas if without this, it'll be about 2.5 inches. Online, the diameter is listed as 1.25 inches, and that is the case. It is 1.25 inches, which translates to 31.75 millimeters. This is a pretty good grip for me. I would compare it to my Hansu Power Bar, and I would say it's a little thicker. I don't know any of the averages yet, but I will have them here post-production. It did seem like everything was just like a hair lighter than advertised, but it seemed like the tolerances were pretty tight. So good on you, Ironmaster. If you're unfamiliar with how the Ironmasters work, it is not just a screw pin that you start from the outside and then screw all the way in. This is just a hair fastener with its quick lock mechanism. Essentially, they only have threading on about 1/4 of the actual pin. The way it works is you would slide them in and turn, and that connects with the threading within the dumbbell handle and makes it so that it tightens down and makes these weight plates secure onto the handle. You would just line up the notches on the handle and on the pin, slide in, push, and give it a turn. Do the same for the other side. Secure, no wobble. And that's it, that's how these work. And then to take them apart, you would just do the opposite. You would line up the notches again, slide the pins out, and remove the weight. Another thing to mention about the heavy handle kit is that it brings the weight towards the inside, making the balance feel a little bit better. These two handles are currently the same weight. The 15s plus the 5-pound handle is 20, and then 2 5s, 2 2.5s because the pins are 2.5 pounds, and then 1 5-pound handle is 20 pounds as well. Between these two, this one feels a little bit better than this one. Even as I turn them both, I feel more in control of this one than I do of this one. I don't know if any one of you needs a tutorial on how to put the heavy handle kit onto the actual handles, but just in case, I'll go ahead and do that. So they come already assembled, so we're gonna disassemble it. You just unscrew both bolts out of the plates, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Personally, I don't want this part showing whenever I'm like picking them up. And I do consider Ironmasters to have a top and a bottom. This notch here is indicative of the top for me. So you want the weight label to point towards the outside of the dumbbells. And they're, like I said before, they're gonna go on the inside where the handle actually is. So I have this one upside down, notches at the top there, which will make the bolts at the bottom. We're just gonna hand start these first so we don't cross thread them. Cross threading is when you mess up the threading in something by going too hard with the actual bolt or screw. You want them pretty tight on there, but don't try and over torque it. That could also cause cross threading. I'm gonna put on the second one. You do want it flush with the outer plate. So you want to bring them as close as possible and then start the threading. Or you could also start the threading, then do that, then tighten. That would probably be better actually. With the heavy handle set, this does become 20 pounds and you can't really adjust it lower than that. 20 pounds is now the starting weight. I'm cool with that because I never really use anything less than 20 pounds. But even if I wanted to use 10 or 15 for maybe therapy work, I do have the 5 to 30s fixed dumbbells for my wife, so I could always just use those. So I would definitely advocate getting the heavy handle set, and it's not too pricey, so. That's what's known as trial by fire. So I bought the 135 pound set because the Nuobells at 80 pounds aren't really heavy enough anymore for either bench press or stuff like bent over one arm rows. At 135 pounds each, this gives me room to grow because obviously I cannot bench press this. If I was able to bench that, that would have been a PR for dumbbells. That's good. 80 pounds, I can do that. I'm not gonna say all day, but definitely 20 plus reps. So good weight, good weight. And if I ever get just monstrous, then these do go up to 180. And that would just be a 165 pound set and then the heavy handle kit. Because I already have the heavy handle kit, I would just need to buy that 165 pound set. And then these become that 180 right away. But as you saw, I could barely do any work with 135. So this is great because, like I said, the Nuobells leave a lot to be desired as far as weight goes. Because I actually picked it up and used it, there was no wobble, and there still wasn't really any wobble even though I dropped them. I did kind of drop this one harder, but solid as a rock. The handle, while there is a little bit of space, I didn't feel any issue, but there are some that do like it a little bit tighter. So handle dimensions mentioned earlier, kind of just gotta find what works for you. This is great for me. If I didn't have the heavy handle set, I don't think I'd like it as much because that would be probably a little bit too much space for me. But you could make it so that you only go up in 2.5 pound increments by only adding this on one side. When you get up to 100 plus pounds, a 2.5 pound difference on either side isn't really gonna, you're not really gonna feel it, you know. All the plates do have a standard 1-inch hole. It's about 1 1/8 inches. So one could argue that you could use standard plates on these and not have to buy the Ironmaster plates by themselves. And there is a YouTuber, Tim K, who did do that. I'll put his video in the description. But I mean, it seemed to work. So if you wanted to do that, you could. One thing about the Ironmasters is that they do have a divot on the handle. And so the divots on the plates themselves do make it so that they don't, it allows for tight pin placement, but it didn't seem like Tim had any issue using normal standard plates. Setting these up do take a minute though if you don't really organize them. Setting it up for that one bench fail did take me a hot minute to do, whereas for the Nuobells it's just quick flip. That probably takes less than 5 seconds to go from 5 to 80. I'd imagine that this takes over 10 to 15 seconds. And then depending on how quickly you get used to them, I could see it maybe getting under 10 seconds, but it wouldn't be something like the Nuobells. So I didn't purchase a stand to go with these because I just felt like what they offered on the Ironmaster website was kind of lackluster. I saw them and I just felt like there was more they could have done to improve it. If you're looking at the Pro stand, it's just a utility cart that can handle super heavy weight. It doesn't really make it easier to adjust or anything. It does have those 4 pin holes on the sides to make the pins easier to get, but you still have to reach underneath to grab all the weight and then adjust the dumbbells from there. So it's just whatever. And then the normal stand is even worse. That's almost just like a metal filing cabinet. And these plates would be the files. You would have to reach underneath to grab the plates and then put it on top. And there's like barely any room to adjust the plates on top. So neither one really made me feel like buying it. Plus I was already at a 900 plus price tag, and I don't know if I could have convinced the wife to let me do a little more than that. So I feel like something like the Perform Better rack, I saw it on Facebook Marketplace someone was selling, and something like that where it's like standard plate storage, but then like maybe a platform to put store the dumbbells and then adjust them on there. That I think would be sick. What I'll probably end up doing is putting standard pins on my wall somewhere, putting these on that, and then having some sort of shelf to put the handles themselves and then adjust them on that shelf. We'll see. I'll update you whenever that happens, but for now, this is what I got. I'll probably put them on my on my Rogue box, and then I'll just see how they do. One thing that should be mentioned is that Ironmaster has been creating their own ecosystem with these plates. So there's adjustable kettlebells that you can use these plates on. There are mace, easy curl bar, and straight bar. But really for any one of those, you could use a random Amazon standard barbell. You could put these on and it would probably work. So those, meh. But you can also put these in vests that they have. And they have also created a cable tower that uses these as the plates you put on. So all of that's pretty cool. And they have the most versatile bench you've ever seen, but that really has nothing to do with these plates. That ecosystem is pretty cool. You could have a full Ironmaster gym. You would just probably need more plates, because if you want to superset between the cables and the dumbbells, you'll probably need more plates. Ironmasters are the most durable adjustable dumbbell there is, along with Badass. I would say both of those are actually probably more durable than Power Blocks are, and that's probably why Ironmaster gives you a lifetime warranty whenever you purchase these. While not transferable like the Badass dumbbells, I would say you'll probably never need it. I dropped them at 135, granted on rubber flooring, and I mean, it's been just hot second, but it doesn't seem like they've been messed up at all from that fall. Hopefully the review so far has warranted a subscribe, but if not, maybe at least a like. Moving right along to cost, the 75-pound set with the 120 expansion and the heavy handle kit would have ran me around $1,256, but because I bought them on Black Friday, I got a 5% discount because I think I bought this set specifically, and then a 20% discount on top of that because of Black Friday, which made it so that my end cost was around 940 bucks. It seemed like they didn't tax me and shipping was free, so that's pretty cool. I would assume that if they kept that for the original price, it would just be $1,256 end price, which is not too bad compared to competition. And I'd have to compare it to similar weight classes. So at 135, I'm at 942 bucks all in, but normally $1,256, right? Badass adjustable dumbbells gives a 132.5 pound adjustable dumbbell set, all inclusive, all that weight, all the handles and stuff. And that is, I think, around 800 bucks, which is a lot cheaper, and the dumbbells do look pretty sick. I do have a preference for round, but square's fine. I don't care that much. However, that screw pin is all the way threaded. So you would have to start all the way outside and then keep screwing until you're all the way tight. Whereas these have their quick lock system. So it's just a little bit faster. The Power Block Commercial Pro 125 is another option that you could go with, but after the 100-pound set that Power Blocks sells, the handles only come in rubber coated. And so you could change them out, but that's an extra purchase on top of what you're already buying. Plus, it's more expensive at over $1,800 without a sales price. And so it's 10 pounds less, it's $600 more, and I'm not particularly fond of having a cage around my hand. While others say that it's fine and you don't even really notice it, I just don't even want to try and get used to that. I'd prefer like an actual dumbbell type feel, and these provide that. And then there's the rep-ins. I wanted those pretty badly, but the cost was just a little bit more, and they do also have like a half cage on them. So I went with this instead. But the weapons cost 1,400 bucks, which is about 150 bucks more than this, and at 10 pounds less, does not grow. So if I did somehow surpass 135, if I went with weapons instead, 125 is the max I could do on those. I didn't want to be limited anymore because the Nuobells kind of obviously did limit me. These can grow with me, which is pretty important when you have a home gym. When comparing the Ironmaster and Nuobells side by side, the most obvious difference as far as form goes is square versus round. And now that is personal preference. I do actually like round more, but I don't really care. When you're lifting it, weight is weight. Preferred round mostly because when I'm doing bent over one arm rows, I could like roll it underneath and use it with the other hand, but that doesn't really matter. Like I could just use 2 of these on either side, bent over one arm rows, go. Flat ends are important to me, so I like putting them on my knees whenever I start an exercise like Arnold presses, overhead presses, bench presses. So on the knees and then starting whatever movement I'm doing. And this is flat enough that it doesn't, I honestly feel no difference when they're on my knees, except that this is heaviest. And so good, but just the fact that it's heavier is better. Another difference is the dimensions. When looking at 80 pounds side by side, the Nuobells is far longer than the Ironmasters are. Nuobells measure at 17 inches dead even. And then including the pins, the Ironmasters measure at about 14.25 inches. So much smaller, a little shorter as well. Handle comparison, the Ironmasters is just short of 5 inches, and then the Nuobells is about 4.25. Without the heavy handle kit, it's about 6.75. For my hands, my hand span being 3.5 inches or so, the 4 inches has felt great. And this one, even though it is like an inch more, does still feel pretty good. Another thing was weight. I wanted heavier. So 80 pounds ain't enough. 135 was more than enough for now. Looking at the lowest weight that these dumbbells provide, the Nuobell at 5 pounds is only 9.75 long when you include the pins or these plastic wedges. Without them, they're about 9.25. So I do have the heavy handle kit on, but that doesn't affect the actual length of the handle. The handle is 7.25, which is a lot less than the Nuobells. This is its most fragile state because it is hollow almost everywhere. So if you drop this as this is, it'll probably break. This, without the heavy handle set, right, is 5 pounds and it will not break if you drop it. So that's it for the smallest increments. Knurling, this has become more passive once they switched from an older model to this one. It's aluminum, and I would say it's pretty passive. It compares more to my American Barbell California bar, which is Cerakoted and passive, versus the Ironmasters, which is a bit more aggressive, but not very aggressive. While it is a volcano knurling, it is pretty passive for a volcano knurling. The Hansu Power Bar is also volcano, but if I put weight on that, it's ripping my hands apart. That is aggressive. This, while more aggressive than the Nuobells, which I like, isn't super aggressive, which is also nice. How quickly do they adjust? As you can imagine, the Ironmasters take a hot minute to move to any specific weight because you have to find the plates, line them up, put the pins in, twist. It takes a second. So that is much longer than the Nuobells, which adjusts so fast. They're probably one of the fastest adjustable dumbbells there is. However, these only adjust within their cradle, whereas these can be adjusted anywhere as long as you have the pins and the weight. As far as stability goes, This feels like a fixed dumbbell. There's no wobble, no give. When you pick it all up, it's as if it's a bar with no bend in it. You are picking up all the weight all at once, whereas the Nuobells do have some give to them. You could probably hear them if I do some bent over one arm rows. 1 second. Whereas the Ironmasters, same weight. All you could hear was my heavy breathing. All right. Durability. Ironmasters, durable as all get out, man. These, you drop these, you should be more worried about what they're gonna mess up rather than them being messed up themselves. Nuobells, you gotta treat them like a baby, man. And while I've had them for a year and I love them, the love is kind of fading, let's say. So the fragility of them is there, and then also one of the things that actually scared me away from them is Gluck's video that the internal mechanisms are gonna fail eventually. It's not a if they do, it's when, because of the plastic components inside. Even though I never dropped my dumbbells, except for this, literally that one time. I don't like the idea of having to replace a handle every X years, whether it's 5 or 10, an extra $150 cost just because wear and tear kind of sucks. So this wins on durability. Warranty, Nuobells provides I think a 2 or 3 year warranty, whereas this is lifetime. So lifetime because they know you're not gonna break it, 2 to 3 years because that's all they'll give you. And that's really only for like internal mechanisms. If you drop it, like warranty is null. So my beginning question was, will these replace these? And the answer is yes. So for me, I don't care about supersetting dumbbell work. If I'm doing something with the dumbbells and I am supersetting, then the other exercise will be barbell or one of my machines rather than 2 dumbbell exercises. So the speed at which I'm changing the weight doesn't really matter to me. But if you care about speed, the Nuobells are it. So who are each of these for? Nuobells are for someone that doesn't drop their dumbbells, needs that speed, and doesn't mind replacing the handles every X amount of years. Great for supersets. If you don't need super heavy weight, 80 pounds is enough for you, these are great. But Ironmasters are for those who don't superset their dumbbell exercises, want that durability, and want a ton of weight. Because these can go up to 180 pounds, there's plenty of room for growth for me, and I'd imagine that it's 180 pounds is a great roof for most people. If you need any more than that, the only adjustable dumbbell that has more weight than this is the badass adjustable dumbbells. And they're not too badly priced either. So if you're not in the market for these, or you just want heavy but round, take a look at Badass. If you want not heavy and round, but you want quick speed, these are it. Better sub for succinct and distinct reviews. And as always, stay hungry.